Welcome back to part 4 of our 5-part Strategic Visions Explainer. I am so pumped to introduce today's focus because this is honestly where the rubber really meets the road. So far, we've talked about grand visions and life purpose, but today we're zeroing in purely on building a holistic life structure. How do you juggle everything you want to achieve without dropping the ball on what actually matters most? We're going to unpack the framework for balancing those many life roles, completely managing your time, your focus, and your real responsibilities.
All right, let's dive right in. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the holistic structure, move into juggling roles, and define mandated versus elective roles. Then we'll cover role subvisions, and finally, how to achieve true balance. Let's go.
Section 1. The holistic life structure and building a solid foundation. You know, life is literally a one-way, one-time journey. Think about it. If you were driving from Islamabad to Karachi, you'd definitely plan your route, right? Yet it's wild how many of us treat our actual lives with way less planning than a weekend road trip. So let me ask you a really tough question. Are you succeeding in your career but completely failing at home? We get these massive promotions, but our health or our families end up suffering. It's this tragic chaos of overcommitting to one single area while totally dropping the ball in another. A true, holistic life structure? It's kind of like an intricate interlocking pattern. If just one piece is missing, the whole design starts to fall apart. Building this solid foundation prevents us from living a life adrift. It makes absolutely sure we don't just blindly chase a job title at the total expense of our overarching life purpose. Moving on to Section 2. Juggling roles and managing your domains. Because here's the reality. Literally, none of us operate in just a single domain. You might be a father or a mother, a husband, a wife, a breadwinner, an engineer, maybe a doctor or a boss. And on a spiritual level, you're a servant of Allah, and a Bala, and an Ummati. I mean, we carry a massive volume of responsibilities simultaneously every single day. And trying to juggle all of that without a real system, well, that's exactly why so many people burn out. Section 3. Mandated roles, the absolute non-negotiables. So, to manage this incredibly heavy load, we absolutely have to divide our roles into 2 distinct categories. First up are the mandated roles. By definition, a mandated role is a role in life that your ideology just doesn't permit you to drop under any condition whatsoever. These are your permanent anchors. You can't just resign from being a parent or a child when things get a little difficult. They are permanently locked in. Next up is Section 4. Elective roles, which are your conditional choices. Now, ironically, this second category usually consumes almost all of our waking energy. An elective role is a role your ideology actually permits you to drop under certain conditions. It's entirely optional. And it's funny, right? We spend sleepless nights stressing out over a job we could literally quit tomorrow while totally neglecting the family we have forever. Your specific career, your role as a CEO or a manager, those are elective. If a better opportunity pops up or if you simply need to step back, you can walk away without compromising your core values. This right here is the ultimate dividing line, and this brilliantly illustrates how strictly categorizing our roles into mandated non-negotiables and elective conditionals actually creates a safety net for us. It completely prevents us from making that fatal mistake of sacrificing our permanent duties at the altar of our temporary ambitions. The framework balances this perfectly. Mandated roles are strictly governed by our ideology on one side, and elective roles sit comfortably on the other. The balance of your entire life depends entirely on understanding which side a responsibility falls on. If you mix them up, you're absolutely going to prioritize the wrong things. Section 5. Role subdivisions and defining our benchmarks. So how on earth do we actually execute this without totally burning out? Well, we define minimum performance levels, or MPLs. Think of these as your subvisions for every role. An MPL is basically the absolute baseline of essential responsibilities that you have to meet to avoid failure. Take a father, for example. His MPL includes providing shelter, food, and proper moral upbringing, or tarbiyat. If you fall below this baseline, from a spiritual framework, you aren't just slipping up, you're actually committing an injustice. So you absolutely must secure your MPLs first. Look, it's wonderful to want to build a massive multinational corporation, truly. But if your huge drive to be an amazing CEO causes you to drop below the minimum performance level of being a present parent, you failed. Having a massive elective vision never ever excuses failing your mandated duties. Which brings us to Section 6, Achieving True Balance with an Actionable Roadmap. So the crucial point is, how do we bring all these concepts together into a balanced life? Well, there are basically two ways to operate. System B is the classic rat race. You just pick one big vision, maybe a huge financial goal, and you force your family, your health, and everything else to just fit around it. Then there's System A, the right way, a completely balanced, logically flowing approach.
Let's move to and see how this builds in System A. Step 1 is starting with your foundational ideology. Moving to Step 2, that ideology directly dictates your mandated and elective roles. And finally, Step 3, only after those roles are clearly defined and protected do you create your subvisions for them. Remember, your career is supposed to serve your life, not the other way around.
The ultimate objective of this entire framework is beautifully simple. Understand the absolute importance of balancing your different rules in life and exactly how to avoid neglecting one area for another. It's completely possible to achieve incredible success across multiple areas of your life, provided, and this is a big provided, you systematically protect your baseline responsibilities.
Your life has to be deliberately designed by clearly separating what is mandated from what is just elective, and by securing your minimum performance levels in every single role, you build a resilient, holistic life structure. This is the real secret to shaping your passions responsibly.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on. Look closely at your daily actions today. Were the hours you just spent driven by some fleeting elective vision, or were they safely anchored in your mandated roles? Take some time to evaluate that balance. Once you do, you'll see exactly where your focus needs to shift. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next part.